Good morning, dear students. Let's start the second session of the chapter Natural and Man-Made Disaster. And in the second session, we'll start here with the flash flood in Uttarakhand in North India. So, if you remember, in June 2013, in the state of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, what happened? There was a large, means a very dangerous flood occurred, and you may have recently, just some months ago, I think not some months ago, but we can say that last year, one movie was released on this, that is Kedarnath, and it was all based on that same movie, same incident that happened there. So here, now what happened here on June 2013. Now there was one lake that was situated there on the top of the mountain, and the dam of that lake was broken, and the water, what happened, it flows from there. And what happened, whatever the things which comes on the way, and this flood, because it was very devastated and there was a large amount of water, it was not a common flood in this actually, because the wall was broken, the whole water that was from the, it was a very big lake, so the water from the whole, that entire lake, as it came down, and whatever thing comes on its way, it just destroyed it. So this flood actually destroyed the whole region there in the Kedarnath actually. And that was a time when the large number of people, they have gone for the pilgrimage in Kedarnath. So this thing that happened here. Now one more thing happened, because when I have just told you one thing, that the wall was broken, but actually how this wall was broken? Because what happened, there was one cloud burst takes place. What is the meaning of cloud burst? Sometimes in the mountainous region, what happened, the cloud burst means when the rainfall occurs in a very torrential form, means very heavy rainfall, means for a short period of time, very heavy rainfall occurs, and that is known as the cloud burst. And what happened, because of this very heavy rainfall and continuously the rain was falling, and what happened, because of the enormous amount of water that just fills the lake, and the dam was very weak and the wall was broken, and as the water came down, so it destroyed everything, whatever comes on its way. Now in this whole incident, what happened, about 5,748 people were missing, and 1,000 people were reported dead. Then even it has been seen that this flood has damaged so many bridges and damages the roads, and it has left over 70,000 pilgrims there in Kedarnath, right, trapped there in Kedarnath. Large number of people were trapped there in different mountains and different areas, because the people actually who have gone there for the pilgrimage, they have climbed up the hills, because it is a hilly area, and that's how actually, this is how they just they get the safe place. Well, but after that actually, because they have been trapped there in those areas, and what happened after that, these all people were rescued by the army and by the Indian Air Force and the paramilitary troops. So this was everything happened here. Well, so this is now, so let's see here. I will not going to explain you the line by line everything, so you just read it here, right? And now let's move directly to the preventive measures to be taken during the flash flood. So during this type of flash flood actually, now which type of preventive measures should be taken. Now this is very important, because after only this incident, actually the government of India, now they have become very serious about such type of incident, because this such type of incident may occur even in the future. So the first thing, area must be evacuated at the first sign of warning. So whenever this type of signs can be seen, so at once the whole place should be evacuated, means the people should be uh, taken to some safe place. Next is the important and essential items like the drinking water, food, flashlight must be taken while going to a shelter. And when these people, they should taken to some shelter, some safe place. So at that time, some important items like the drinking water and the food and the flashlight, these are the important things which they should be taken with them. Next, electrical appliances must be disconnected to avoid short circuit, right? So here all the electric appliances, and in fact actually the main switch should be switched off, so that no short circuit should take place. Next is the area which is flooded areas, and creeks means the area where the water just fills the whole region are called creeks, flooded areas and the creeks. So the individual people, they should avoid to go in these areas, the area which has been flooded, or maybe where the water has filled some places. Next is the monitoring of radios and television is very very essential. Now actually the radio and on television you can find every news there, and you can get updated what is happening there, because in every news channel you can find whenever these such type of incidents takes place. So there is a breaking news starts occurring there on the news, and all the news channel, they just focus on the same incident. So this is how actually the radios and televisions, they are very very essential things. So wherever the people, they are taken to the shelter place, wherever, so the radio or the television, these also should be accompanied with them, so that they can be aware about the weather forecasting and everything. Now there are some the measures should be taken by the state government and the central government, some safety measures. Now what type of safety measures should be taken by the government? Now let's see here. Now the first thing is the forecasting and the warning must be given through the media, radio and TV. So this time actually all the news media and the radio channels, they should be warned by the government. They should be so that actually they should be giving the report, that is information up to date. So up to date information should be continuously released through these media channels. Next is the wetland must be retained. They observe the flood water. Now there are so many areas which are called wetland. Wetland means where the water means logging is very very common. The area where the flood is very very common. So those areas, there some important steps should be taken to avoid, so that the water shouldn't be get waterlogged every time, right. Next is the deforestation must be prohibited. Now usually all this flood occurs, why? Because the large number of forests have been cut down, and because of the cutting of the forest has led to the flood. So the deforestation should be prohibited, it should be banned, and it should also be observed that the people shouldn't cut the trees, especially near the rivers and the streams. Then a thorough research is required before the planning any construction of dam. And if any dam is constructed or anything, mining areas, so that time there should be a proper research work should be carried. Now only these research work can tell that how safe that place is, or either these type of development program should be carried there or not. Now next move to the another point, and this is the man-made disaster. So here are some disasters we are going to see, two important incidents we are going to see here. So let's see, what do you mean by the man-made disaster? In the man-made disasters you will find the railway and the road accidents are very very common. By the poor means undertaken of means poor caring of the railway, right? And in the railway lines and the railway compartment and everything, the railway and the roads, in all both the things, the accidents you can find very very common. Even the plane accidents, bomb blast, leakage of the chemicals from the chemical factories, fires, communal riots, terrorist attacks, nuclear accidents. Now these are some important things, important incidents sometimes takes place, and they are called the man-made disasters. Now, like the one Mumbai terrorist attack that occurred on 26 November 2008. If you remember, the terrorists, they have attacked on the Taj Hotel and some two, three places there in Mumbai, and many people were died there, right? Another thing in the Bhopal gas tragedy. Now let's see here some important, the worst disasters here, and first of all we are going to see about the Chernobyl disaster. Now on 29th April 1986, now what happened, there was one nuclear accident. It took place in the nuclear power station that is located in the Ukraine actually formerly was a part of Soviet Union. Now Ukraine at present is a separate country, but in 1986 Ukraine was a part of USSR, and in short we used to call it at that time Soviet Union. So Chernobyl actually is the one place in Ukraine, and that time it was under Russia. Now Russia was at that time even was a communist country. Now that's why all the incident what happened there in 1986, it was all was blocked, and this news never came to the public till 1990. But what happened in 1991 when the USSR split into many countries, right? And that was the time only after that this whole incident it came out. And in fact you can see actually behind the split of USSR was this disaster, this incident. Only after the Chernobyl disaster actually all the different small countries which were the part of the USSR, they start the revolt. They just revolted against the USSR, and they all have just separated themselves from the Russia. Well, now what happened here during the Chernobyl disaster? So everything is not given here, but let me explain you, right? So Chernobyl actually is the one place in Ukraine, and there is a one nuclear reactor was there, and this nuclear reactor was very old, and because this country, the whole country was governed by the communist government, so somehow they were just running this nuclear reactor. And what happened, one day one explosion occurred in the Chernobyl reactor, and because of that large amount of that waste water, it just leaked from there and mixed in the nearby river. Now from there it spreads in the whole region. Large number of people were affected, and one more thing was seen at that time. Now there was a one big coniferous forest lies there in this region, and the whole forest that turned into red. All the trees, the leaves of the trees, they just turned red. Why it is? Because of the the radiation that occurred because of this nuclear disaster. A large number of people, millions of people, they died, and this was a very very big disaster, nuclear disaster. And still when the people they think about it, especially the people living there, and still they just get afraid, means just frightened from this incident still. Now next is the Bhopal gas tragedy. In 1984, December 2nd and 3rd December 1984, in Bhopal there was a one factory known as the The name of the factory was the Union Carbide India Limited. Now this factory, usually it manufactures the pesticides, and to manufacture the pesticides usually there was one gas which was used and known as methyl isocyanate. Now methyl isocyanate, as by the name itself you can know that this gas contains cyanate, methyl isocyanate. Cyanate is a very dangerous, very poisonous gas. So this was one compound gas known as methyl isocyanate. So now during this time actually this factory also have become very old, but this whole factory was run by some foreigners, and they were just have given the bribe. Every year they used to give the bribe to the local authorities, and somehow they were running the factory. And what happened, there was one tanker was kept there, and the tanker was filled with this gas methyl isocyanate. So what happened here, during the night the gas from this tanker just leaked, because next day was Sunday, so nobody have taken any initiative. And what happened, as the gas leaked from that tanker, and what happened, large number of people nearby, living nearby places, they were affected. And what happened, about 50,000 people were affected by this gas, methyl isocyanate gas, and about 3,787 people they died. Right, this is a confirmed number of death. And after that, within 2 weeks, about 8,000 more people died. And even after that actually it has been seen. Now let me show you this picture on figure here, this child you can see here. Now even after that actually the methyl isocyanate actually has affected the genes of the people actually living very far from this region, from the factory, and because they inhale the same gas, and that gas affected the chromosome of their genes. And because of that actually what happened, their next generation, means when they bore the children, so the children, they were they have taken birth with some deficiencies. Now you can find here this child, and as you can find here on his eyes, so this type of disabled children were born after that. Well, so this incident actually has seen a long-term effect on the people. Now we are going to see about which type of long-term effect. Now usually what happened, after inhaling the gas, the people who were exposed, so they start coughing, vomiting, severe eye irritation, feeling of the suffocation. Well, many people they died also, and large number of people were just buried in mass funeral was taken place, mass cremations were taken there, and about 1,70,000 people were treated at hospital, and many deaths were caused due to the choking and the reflex of the organ circulatory collapses. Well, now so many things occurred there. Now it is so many things is difficult to explain. Why? Because it is a much higher scientific language. So in class 8, now everything is not easily can be explained now only. So the things are which is given here in your book, everything is given on the level of the children, so on the level of the 8th class children. So it has been seen about, it has affected the lungs, it has affected the kidneys, and so this is how actually this whole process has been seen a long-term effect on the people. So you can read the whole thing after that. Now let's move to the next point, and that is the hybrid disaster. So what do you mean by the hybrid disaster? So you can find here the disasters they are which are linked with both natural and man-made disasters. So this hybrid disaster actually it links the both the natural and man-made disaster, or you can say that the natural disasters which are caused due to the man-made factors. Now that is called the hybrid disasters. Now let's see here. Now example, one in a very bold red color it is given here. Discriminate cutting down of the forest. This is the first point. Second, rapid industrialization, you may just underline it. Second point. Third, indiscriminate exploitation of natural resources. Now these are the three important keywords. First, indiscriminate cutting down of the forest. Second, rapid industrialization. Third, indiscriminate exploitation of natural resources. Now these are the activities usually carried by the human beings. So these are the man-made activities. Now what happens here, you can all of you know that when the forests are cut, so it affects the whole environment. So many natural disasters are caused because of the cutting down of the trees. There are so many natural disasters which are caused because of the industrialization. There are so many natural disasters which are caused because of the indiscriminate exploitation of the natural resources. Now let's see here some of the different type of natural disasters which are affected by the man-made factors. So let's see here one by one. So first is the drought. Drought, all of you know, is very common in some part of our country. Now why the droughts usually occur? So first of all, the first thing is due to the overconsumption of what thing? Water. Overconsumption of water. Next, wastage of water. Third, pollution of water. So who usually do this overconsumption, wastage and the pollution? Human beings. Second is the landslide. Why the landslide occur? Now usually the landslide occur due to the deforestation. Now who used to do this deforestation? The man. Next, all the cyclones. Now hurricane in Caribbean Sea, cyclones are known as hurricane. Then the floods are very common in India, and cyclones, all of you know. So hurricane and cyclones are the same thing. So hurricane, floods and cyclones, why they are so common? Rapid deforestation. So cyclones are very common. Floods also occurs. Why? The main cause is the deforestation. And who is the responsible for this deforestation? Man. Greenhouse effect. This is the effect occurs. Why? Because of the deforestation, because of the industrialization. As a large number of factories, they emit the pollution, and these polluted gases increase the temperature, average temperature of the atmosphere. That is cause the greenhouse effect. Now next is the famine and the crop failure. Now why the famine is so common, and why the crops farmers are experiencing the crop failure? What thing are the factors? Due to the faulty government policies, faulty methods of agriculture, overuse of the pesticides, insecticides. Now as the soil gets exhausted, so it becomes infertile. Now who causes all these things? Man, naturally. Now next is the chemical poisoning. Why this is been done? Because of the rapid industrialization from the different factories, chemical factories. Large number of chemical they are drained there in the water bodies, or maybe they are dumped there in some on places in the land, or maybe the drainage system. So this is how actually it pollutes the water, pollutes the soil, and chemical poisoning. That's why it's so common. Now next is the earthquake. Already earthquake usually is a natural resource, but some of the earthquake I have explained you that they are affected due to the man-made causes, like construction of dams, mining, creation of the large water bodies. These all things actually leads to what thing? Earthquake. So we have seen here that how actually these natural disasters, they are all caused by the man-made factors, the activities carried by the human beings. So today only up to here, and the next session will start the fire hazard. This is I think it will be a last session. Moreover, then the fire safety measure we will see. Then we will see the disaster management in India, right? Common objective during any disaster, role of government, the role of remote sensing satellites, natural in controlling the natural disaster. So I think the one more session we will finish this chapter, but after finishing this chapter has many case studies, and every case study will take one session. So all the best, all of you. Just read this chapter, find out the question and answers given here in the exercises, find out the answer. If any queries are there, you just note it down, just mark it in your book, and whenever we will have some live session, or maybe if we will try to get it, so you can ask all your doubts from all the previous chapters even. So all the best.